All right, let's see if this works now. Hey, hopefully people can hear me now. This is exciting. Or is it exciting? Let's see. If you can hear me totally fine, feel free to drop anything in the chat. And if it's all choppy, I give up and I will try this later on. But we'll give it a go. Let's see. Where's my little chat widget as well? Because I want to be able to take care of this too. Good evening, Dan. I hope you're having a great evening. It's just past lunchtime here in well, I would say sunny Perth, but it's very not sunny today. Hey GT, how are you, my man? Yay, awesome. The good thing about audio working is the audio's working, so you can all ask me questions. But the bad thing is I'm on my laptop and I don't have the ability to actually pipe sweet sounding audio down it. So ask away. Ask away. What's everyone up to? And this is, I've got the hammer in my hands at the moment as well. So I can give you guys absolutely terrible, like, laptop picking up my studio monitor audio, which isn't really what we want. But I can hang out for 20 minutes. I was going to hang out for 45, but it only took me 25 minutes to figure this out. Nevertheless, let's see, how can I do this? What do I want to do? Yeah, that'll be just fine. Absolutely fine. So do that, and we'll do this. Fantastic. Alrighty. Where else do we have people watching from in the world? We've got Dan in Minnesota. We've got GT in Melbourne. I'm going to drop a message in Discord. Okay, it's working now. Get the Discord peoples over here. Let's close that. Dan asked me what's my current favorite fractal amp model. It's the USA Lead mid-gain, which has been my favorite for a long time. Let's see if this works. It's going to sound not great. Nice and chunky. Alrighty. What's the best way to improve picking speed on the low E string? Are you talking about down picking, or are you talking about just sort of plowing away, doing the whole kind of... Because for down picking, that's something that's taken me a long time to figure out. I think with that, there's actually like a strength and conditioning element of it. And Mexico, thank you so much. One day, it's high on my bucket list to visit Mexico. I guess my diet is probably like 50% recipes derived from different Mexican food things. So alternate picking, that's a good question. Probably... I mean, there's like the brute force aspect of it, right? Where you're playing... I mean, what are you trying to play? That's the thing, you know? If you're just kind of trying to play like Racer X style and... You know, that whole... all the... Or if it's... Honestly, it probably just comes down to conditioning. Like, find something that you need to play and play it a lot, and like pick angle and how you hold your pick is important. Like, one thing, you know, you get a lot of people holding their picks like this, which isn't a super efficient way to hold it. You know, sort of this guy I find is a lot more effective in getting that downward slant kind of thing, and that consistency in there. There's a good Mike Mangini video where he's talking about playing guitar. I know it sounds crazy, Mike Mangini talking about playing guitar, but he talks about like practicing your upstrokes so that they can kind of sound like downstrokes. And doesn't that make total sense? Because drummers practice things like that. So I thought that was a pretty good little analogy in there. Let's just do the live chat rather than the top chat. Much better. Excellent. So yeah, let me know what you're trying to play, and I don't know, we can diagnose it live. Yeah, big time. big time with the metronome. Even so here's a fun little metronome exercise to annoy everybody. You chuck a metronome on, I don't know, let's do 120, something reasonable. And let's just say you're practicing eighth notes against that. Practice your accenting, so accenting every, what would it be, every eighth notes, so versus every 16, so wait a bit. And then halve the tempo and try to have the click on beat 2 with the same thing. So this is an age-old exercise. So it'll be like 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how easy it is to lose the pulse on there. So that's a really, really good one, that kind of half-time metronome, but feeling the metronome on 2 and 4. A classic one I like to do is I like get my students to play Highway to Hell. So what's that, like 125 or something? It's gonna be great in drop C. Actually, it's probably slow. It's more like a 110, isn't it? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That kind of thing, but you halve it. So you have 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you're feeling the click like you would feel a snare drum on a 4/4 rock beat. That's a pretty effective timing thing there. They would hook up one of those Eventide micro pitch pedals direct guitar to audio interface without a DI box. Depends on the inputs on your audio interface. I think you're probably better off placing it as a send or something like that, an auxiliary send, but I see no reason why you couldn't either. Try it and find out. There's optimal ways to do this, but there aren't really any wrong ways to do it. It just depends on the sort of effect you want. For me, micro pitch is best after distortion. So if you were using it on your DI guitar tone, it's not going to make a lot of sense. It would make more sense to have it, if it's like at the end of your pedal board or something like that, where you're using drives and you're using it to widen it, it'll probably be fine. There's line level outputs on it. Yeah, the low E string thing is interesting. One thing you might want to think about as well is like where you rest your hand. If you're used to kind of having your hand down lower here when you're noodling away, and then you try reach back, but you're using the same anchor point, that's not going to be very efficient. You actually want to move your entire hand. That's something I work on all the time. You might be alternate picking something, say here. So rather than like reaching around like that, you go. So you're keeping the same angle. So you're actually moving your hand there. You're still picking from the wrist, but you're moving the anchor point on there. You need to play some Matthias, definitely. How about you play that? Sounds like a Slither by Velvet Revolver now. Something like that. Scorpions. Scorpions is good. Yes, the Scorpions. How could I create an acoustic guitar simulator? Through a tone capture, or you could use an acoustic guitar impulse response. There's a few videos out there on that. What I do for acoustic gigs, I play my Music Man 7-string, which has a piezo pickup in it. And I just use a bit of EQ and compression on that. So that's totally fine. But you can get some pretty decent results running an electric guitar through an acoustic IR. You probably want to use the multiband compressor to sort of like simulate body resonance as well. There's actually a video up there on the interwebs. Who did that one? It might have been Christian who did that one. So yeah, where you use a multiband compressor to simulate the acoustic guitar body resonance, which I think is pretty cool, along with an IR. The IR will just kind of sound flat. Obviously, you don't get the resonant effect of an acoustic guitar on an electric guitar. So that's a pretty good one there. Let me find that video and link it for all of you in here, because Christian's videos are really, really good. Let's see where we're at. Let's go. What is it? Let's try that one. And again, feel free to blaze away with all your questions. That's for acoustic guitar and vocals. I'm probably spelling this name wrong. I know this exists. And also Fremen has a bunch of acoustic packs if you don't want to do the work. Let's see. Using an acoustic IR and a multiband. I will find the video and post it on Discord. How does that sound? Because that will probably be a little bit easier for people to access. Alrighty, where are we at in the chat? Ronnie Montrose and Rick Derringer. Yeah, that's killer. The best era. The absolute best era for all that kind of stuff. I don't know why I think of Ronnie Montrose, and I also think of, well, obviously, Rick Derringer and Johnny Winter and Frank Marino as well, who are great players. The Cats are doing well. They are both asleep at the moment. One of them decided it was a great idea to sleep on us last night, which was interesting. Let's see. Hello from Texas. Welcome, John. I have family in Texas, so what part of Texas are you from? What's the best way to control clipping when dealing with effects in parallel? You need to set the mix to 100% and the bypass state to mute effects in, and then they should be fine, and you shouldn't be adding any extra level. If you just put a delay with like 20% mix, your dry signal is getting doubled up in that kind of setting as well. So yeah, rookie error, but an error I still make all the time. West Texas, very cool, very, very cool. What's the country song that sings about West Texas? I always hear my dad singing it all the time. Oh, I'll remember it. I'll remember it. Frankenstein is so good. How does that riff go? I'm actually going to look it up. I'm going to look up the tab. Da 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 da, and it will sound off because I'm in drop C anyway. Yeah. How would Zach Wilde play that? Great riff. I didn't realize Ronnie Montrose played on that with Rick Derringer. That's amazing. I knew Rick played on it, but I didn't know Ronnie was on it as well. So you'll learn something new. El Paso by Marty Robbins. Of course, that's the song. Mute effects is a key. I always get confused on that one. Yeah, basically the idea is if you set it to mute effects in and the mix to 100%, then when you turn the block off, it disables the input to the effects section. And because you got the mix at 100%, there's no dry anyway. So, yeah. There you go. I learned something new. Of course it's Marty Robbins. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Howdy, Caleb. I hope you're awesome. That's another good one as well. Bit of George Strait. There's a really good... Who does the podcast? I've got to remember. It's somebody sung. I think David Allan Coe's son has a podcast about like the stories behind famous country artists. It's very, very good. Would recommend. I think it's called Cocaine and Rhinestones. That's interesting. Ronnie played on the album, then left for Montrose. Rick took over. Of course. It's this. All these connections make sense now. That would have been how Rick ended up, or Johnny ended up playing with Rick as well. So there you go. Yeah, Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast. Is that the name? I'm pretty sure it is. Excellent storytelling. It's really, really good. If you like, I think if you just like music and you like, the podcast format, I think you'll highly enjoy that. And it is by, wow, that 73 million people listened to our podcast last year. Okay, cool. There we go. Yeah, Tyler Coe. There you go. And apparently estranged from his dad. So that's kind of interesting, but, that just kind of fits with the entire theme, doesn't it? If you like Skid Row, man, have we not talked about Skid Row before, GT? Very, very much so. That first album is so good. We opened up for them at the Whiskey a couple of years ago in LA, and Snake was really, really cool. Hung out with him for a bit, and I was like, oh, Snake, I just want to say, man, like that first Skid Row album changed my life. And he said, yeah, changed my life as well, which I thought was pretty witty as well. Cats give you toxoplasmosis, very bad for vocals and life in general. How do you deal with it? I don't sing, so so yeah, all our cats are pretty well taken care of. I'll live with it for the cuteness. Yeah. There's a diddle-a-diddle-a-duh. Yeah, the threat is awesome. I'm in the wrong tuning for this. Long-time subscriber. My studio looks as full as yours, and I wonder if when you fall into one for a spell, is it frequencies in our ears changing? I imagine all this stuff has some non-negligible effect on, your monitoring environment. Always use as a reference, use drop D tuning. I'm in drop C at the moment, so Ragdoll plays in drop C for just about everything. I do a lot of stuff in drop D as well, as you would imagine. You think that FRFR speakers do great with the FM3? Definitely. It just depends on whether you like FRFRs. That's the big thing. If you prefer hearing yourself play through a guitar cab, then get a power amp and a guitar cab and be happy with your life. But I'm used to playing through FRFRs now, so I kind of prefer them when I play through a guitar cab. It's like, whoa, this is a very, very different experience. Good morning from Norway. That's awesome. We have people from all over the world in this chat. This is awesome. My favorite pickup set, I think if it was a situation where, hey, Leon, you have to go and do a gig and you have to choose a new pickup set right now, I'd probably just get a JB and a Jazz. The Jazz is my favorite neck pickup. I've got one in here. Amazing. The JB is really good. This is a Duncan 78, which is awesome. I think I'd probably prefer the Custom 5 over the JB. But the JB is a great rock pickup. So Toxoplasmosis would be an awesome band name. That sounds like peak nu metal. This isn't, well, technically this isn't an Explorer, this is a Hamer Standard. So I bought this one from Jackson's Rare Guitars in 2008 when I went to Sydney. I did a summer project at university, did like 5 or 6 weeks of independent study, basically just read books and wrote a write-up at the end of it, got paid a bit of money and saw this guitar and spent all my money on this guitar. So yeah, life hasn't changed that much, has it? So Hamer Standard 2008, made in, I think they were based in New Hartford, one of the USA ones. Amazing guitar. I've been playing it a lot more recently and gigging with it because I'm a tall person, and you know, a big guitar on a tall person looks a little less cartoonish. Daiki from Japan, welcome. I went to Japan in 2018, so about 4 years ago now, and had the time of my life. That was a good time. A very, very good time. Is it possible to automate a parameter value on an effect? For example, having a delay speed with 100 milliseconds, increasing to 400 milliseconds in a couple of bars, like moving the knobs manually. Yes, you can definitely do that. You could use a very slow LFO. You could do an ADSR, or you could do a sequencer to do that on the Axe effects. Pretty much, or you could use an expression pedal to do it as well and slowly push it down. So yeah, Kramer Snake model, that they look great. Cover song to play. I'll put 2 in here. So it's either like playing Holy Diver. I love playing that because of the way Ryan sings it. Or, I mean, if the crowd's into a song, I'm probably going to enjoy it. I really like, you know, if we go and do a gig and it's just a covers only thing and you play some like 90s pop punk or something like that. So some Blink or something like that. Because those songs are just super fun. So yeah, some metal, or, you know, we throw a little bit of Maiden and a little bit of Sabbath in. Akadaka always goes over well. I like playing the Bon Jovi stuff as well when the crowd sings along. If you're playing to an empty room, that's not the best fun, but, you know, like a New Year's gig and you're doing Living on a Prayer or something, that's pretty epic. I just peeped the headstock. Does it have Firebird style tuners? You are a very, very, very eagle-eyed individual, Mr. Vanderlei, as an importer-exporter. Yeah, these are Steinberger gearless tuners, so on the back. I popped them on just because I was playing my Firebird and I was like, I love these tuners. I should get some for the Explorer. And it makes the headstock look very sleek, in my opinion. It makes it look like it's got a mohawk or something, which fits the whole theme. Could you be happy with just Axe effects at this point? Just got one, yes, I'm ready to clear out half my tube amps. Totally. Like, the last thing that will leave the studio, you know, in a case where it was like I had to get rid of everything, the last thing that would go would be the Axe effects and the studio monitors and probably my PRS single cut, because that's the stuff that makes me super happy, and it's the stuff that I use every single day. If I'm working on something, if I'm writing, if I'm demoing, that's like the stuff that makes the world go around for me. So, you know, I have all this rack gear here, and I've just got my Soldano back, and I have this rack with a Boogie and a Synergy system and the Soldano on it, and that stuff is amazing, and I love it, and I don't want to get rid of it, mostly for sentimental reasons, and also because they're great reference points. You know, when I fire them up and I get something I like out of their heads, I can go, maybe I'll tone match this and kind of preserve it. So, yeah, I think so. But can we, I mean, there's 2 questions there, right? One, can you ever be happy as a human being? That's a much deeper question. And can you be happy with a more limited selection of gear? I think so. You know, I'm probably a maximalist when it comes to gear, but I cleaned my desk recently and got a bunch of crap off it, and I've been far more productive. So there's something in that. All right. When we did Immigrant Song, that sounds so epic. Yeah, that was fun. That was a really, really fun gig. I'm glad you could come to that, GT. That was after 2.5 years of, you know, not being able to see anybody. That was a pretty good night, catching up with everybody. All right. Where else are we? Get some old school Tube Screamer Classic into a Marshall JCM 800. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the classic saying, right? What else? Look up toxoplasmosis. Be a serious disease at cats carry. Yeah. Well, I mean, how many 100 million people have pets in the world? So without getting into an argument, I mean, I'm not gonna argue that I'm not a fool, because I'm definitely a fool. But yeah. By all means, you all have the internet, so if you want to go and look this stuff up, you can do that. Or, you know, or don't. Talk about guitar gear. I guess that's what we're here to do. So, I try to stay away from those things, you know. I love my cats and my pets and try to take care of them, so I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there, and it's unfortunate, like anything, if you're allergic to something or stuff that you can't control. Like me, I have eczema, you know, which makes a lot of things in life slightly more difficult than they should be, you know, like exercising and breaking out in hives and things like that. But you know, I think it's about living with these things. So anyway, let's set that one aside for now, shall we? What was your first guitar amp combo? It was, and you're going to have to Google this one, everybody, a Hondo Erlewine laser copy. So if you've ever seen Johnny Winter playing a small Steinberger-looking thing, that was an Erlewine laser. So yeah, that was my first guitar. That was pretty amazing. All my friends thought I was super weird, and I had a Zoom 707 with headphones, and there was this one thing on there. It was a stepped flanger or a stepped phaser, which kind of sounded like... where is it? The choice of phaser, so let's do this. I'll give you the stepped phaser sound because you can quantize the phaser on here. Can you quantize the phaser on here? Yes. So this kind of thing. It's pretty fun. Let's hear it. It's just a lot slower. And that was the sound that got me hooked. I remember sitting there going... Literally did that for days and days and days, and that's what got me into guitar. So that was my first guitar combo. I have 2 minutes left. I've got to head out. Hi from Bunbury, WA. G'day, Bryce. I hope you're well. Have you ever toured over this way? How do you keep yourself excited when practicing? The second question, I want to say maybe... it's probably like a 60-40 split for me. One is just kind of general maintenance. So I have stuff that I practice all the time that I know, you know, if I do this, I'll probably be able to play consistently on videos and recordings and at gigs. And maybe like another part of it is just like trying to push myself and learn something new, and teaching a lot is great because, you know, I have students who are like, hey, I want to learn this John Petrucci solo, so you got to go and learn it. Or, hey, I want to learn the No More Tears solo, so you got to go and learn it. So that generally kind of keeps me in check, and just trying to pick up little bits and pieces, like different styles and things like that. And, you know, even though I do it a lot on the videos, not playing with like distortion and grease all the time, I try to like experiment with ambient sounds and stuff like that. And also just trying to write something, sitting down and going, you know what, I'm just going to try to be creative is how I manage my practice time. And down in Bunbury, we were down in Margaret River at the start of last month. So I always love playing in Bunbury. The very first or second cover gig I ever did was down at Fitzy's in Bunbury. So yeah, they're always a good time, and the Prince is always awesome. We should probably come down next year and do the Prince or something like that in summer, because that's a super fun gig. Sack bundles, it's pretty bad in the crooks of my elbows. Got a steroid ointment called Yep. That's awesome. Yeah, mine goes through phases. Like when we toured Europe, I got absolutely blasted. I looked like a lizard. My skin was so scaly. I don't know if that was like a change in environment or there was an allergen there, but it got so bad. And it's been pretty manageable the last year or so. I get flare-ups every now and then. And I mean, a lot of it's like managing what you actually put into your body as well. There's certain things that, you know, like nightshades and stuff like that, I probably shouldn't eat. I try not to have too much dairy or anything like that. And there's a bunch of other stuff. I've tried the super restrictive dieting stuff, and for the amount it helped, it was a lot harder than just kind of dealing with it. So yeah, mine's quite mild most of the time, but it's like, you know, in summer when I'm sweaty, it's like it crooks of my elbows, knees, and in my sleep I scratch myself a lot, so I have to keep my nails really, really short so I don't do that. Yeah, and stress as well. You know, sometimes if I'm just really busy, I just break out, and it's all the little times during the day that you kind of like do these things that build up. Brettle, you're here. You got. Well, probably should have left a minute ago, but are the Veronicas popular there? Very popular. One of my friends actually plays drums with them. Where are we at in the chat? Let's take a look. Do monitor speaker stands make a big difference on a table? Man, there's probably it's in the list of things that are important, but if you haven't treated your room yet, you're probably better off doing that, or using like SonarWorks or something like that before you do that. It sounds better than straight to the door. Would you agree? I'm running it digitally, so it's not really interacting with it, but I do, if I'm recording, I like sticking on, like, say, the Neve preamp or the API preamps on the guitar. That sounds very, very good in the UA. Their emulations sound awesome. Chaparral Standard Hamer, I had one and sold it to a mate. They are fantastic. Have we ever played with Steel Panther? No, but that would be amazing. I've seen them live a bunch of times. Well, actually, probably technically, yes. We probably shared a festival bill in the States or something, but that definitely would have been a case of me being aware of them and them having no idea who we are. Different output levels on the Helix presets. Obviously, the amount of gain is important, but then, like, a Strat probably has more treble in it, so bring the bass up and bring the treble down to balance it out. A Les Paul might be darker, so bring some low end out. That also helps a lot. Got a PS5, bro. Enjoy that PS5. And I have to go. I'll do another live stream over the weekend at some point. So, yeah, now that I've got the audio issues sorted out, it was very nice to hang out on here and actually do a live stream. I will do a lot more. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And I need to hit the exit stream thing.